Captain Jorah Linth's dorsal spines flared the moment the proximity alarm shrieked through the Celestial Nexus Station's command center. Her 4 eyes locked onto the biometric scanner, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Apex predator detected. Species: human. Threat level: catastrophic. All units, code Vermilion. Jorah barked into her comm, her mandibles clicking with nervous energy. We have a Death Worlder on board. Repeat, human detected in Residential Sector 7. Across the galaxy, humans had earned a reputation that made even the most battle-hardened species pause. They came from a planet that actively tried to kill them, a world of megafauna, microscopic assassins, and weather patterns that could obliterate cities. They had climbed to the top of their food chain not through venom, armored hides, or telepathic superiority, but through sheer, terrifying persistence. Jorah had heard the stories. Humans who ran for fun. Humans who kept apex predators from other worlds as pets. Humans whose own planet considered them the most invasive species in its history. And now one was loose on her station. She mobilized the elite guard immediately, 12 of the finest Crithian warriors, each standing 9 feet tall with exoskeletons that could withstand plasma fire. They moved through the corridors with weapons charged, thermal scanners sweeping for the human intruder. What they found, however, was not what anyone expected. Lieutenant Vex was the first to breach the residential quarters. His rifle raised, he burst through the door and froze. In the center of the modest living space sat 3 Crithian cubs, no older than 5 solar cycles. Their small mandibles clicked happily as they groomed each other's carapaces with something that smelled wrong. Pleasant, but wrong. The scent was floral, with hints of some earth plant called lavender. And standing behind them, gently massaging the substance into the smallest cub's shell, was the human. Rena Hale looked up with warm brown eyes, a soft smile on her face. "Oh, hello. You must be here about the noise complaint. I'm so sorry the little ones were playing a bit rough earlier." Vex's rifle trembled. His combat training warred with the bizarrely domestic scene before him. The human, the apex predator, was giving the ambassador's cubs a bath. "Step away from the younglings," Vex managed, though his voice lacked its usual authority. Rena blinked, then laughed a sound that made Vex's spines retract involuntarily. "Oh goodness, you think I'm hurting them?" No. They got into the ventilation system and came out covered in dust mites. Poor things were itching like crazy. She held up a bottle. "This is just shampoo. From Earth. Works wonders on exoskeletons, apparently." The smallest cub chirped happily and nuzzled against Rena's leg. By the time Captain Jorah arrived with the full security detail, the situation had somehow deteriorated further into chaos, or perhaps ascended into absurdity. The cubs were now wrapped in soft towels, chirping contentedly as Rena read them a story from a holographic display. It was a human tale. Something about a very hungry caterpillar. And the cubs were enraptured. "What is the meaning of this?" Jorah demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut steel. Rena looked up, genuinely confused. "I'm sorry. Is something wrong?" Ambassador Krell asked if I could watch the cubs while she attended the council meeting. "They're absolute sweethearts." Jorah's mandibles worked soundlessly. The ambassador, one of the most powerful political figures in 3 sectors, had left her offspring with a human? You're the new cultural liaison," Jorah said slowly, pieces clicking into place. "That's right. Rena Hale, at your service." She stood and extended her hand, a human gesture of greeting that made half the guards raise their weapons. "I arrived this morning. The ambassador and I hit it off immediately. She mentioned her cubs were molting and stressed, so I offered to help." The largest cub scampered over to Jorah, chittering excitedly. In the Crithian language, it said, "Auntie Jorah. The human gave us the good-smelling cleanser. My carapace has never been so shiny." Jorah stared at the cub, then at Rena, then back at the cub. "She's not dangerous," the cub insisted. "She's nice. She told us about earth wolves and how humans made them into friends called dogs. Can we have a dog, Auntie Jorah? Please?" The after-action report took Jorah 3 hours to compile. How did one explain that the Code Vermilion apex predator incident had resolved itself through grooming products and children's literature? Ambassador Krell, upon returning, had actually thanked Rena profusely. The cubs' molting stress had completely vanished, and they wouldn't stop chattering about their new, human auntie. Yora found Rena later that evening in the station's observation deck, staring out at the stars. "I frightened your entire security force today," Rena said without turning around. "I'm sorry about that." Jorah's spines relaxed slightly. "Our databases classify humans as apex predators. You have no natural defenses, yet you conquered a death world. Your species is statistically terrifying." Rena smiled softly. "You know what humans actually are, Captain? We're persistence predators." "Yes. But we're also pack animals. We bond. We nurture. We adopt creatures that should be our enemies and make them family." She turned to face Jorah. "That's our real superpower. Not the hunting or the endurance. It's that we look at something different, something that should scare us, and think, I wonder if they'd like some shampoo?" Jorah found herself clicking her mandibles in what might have been laughter. "The cubs want you to come back tomorrow," she admitted. "They've already asked the ambassador if you can teach them more Earth stories." Rena's smile widened. "I'd love that. I'll bring my dog story collection. And maybe some of that special carapace conditioner." As Jorah walked away, she made a mental note to update the database entry for humans. Yes, they were apex predators. Yes, they were dangerous. But they were also, perhaps, exactly what the galaxy needed: creatures who saw the universe not as something to conquer, but as something to befriend, one shampoo bottle at a time.